Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Soccer Showdown. I'm your host with the most, Jersey Joe, joined, as always, by Michael Holzer, our resident soccer expert. And we've just got a great show planned today. I mean, we've got so much content that I just can't waste any time. Let's get right into it now. In the news recently, we're going to kind of start things off with the English Premier League because currently there's a lot of Premier League games going on, and it's an exciting time to talk. But if you're a Manchester City fan, it's not the best time, and we've seen recently in the news they've been in a discussion a lot. Currently, right now, they're playing Leicester City, and Vincent Kompany, the captain of Manchester City, was put on the bench for this game. Very surprising to some people, but some people felt this was the move that needed to be made. Manuel Pellegrini's comments earlier this week, Vincent Kompany must accept criticism. Now, Michael, before we get into that initially, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about criticism in general, because I think for an athlete, I mean, you're a pro athlete. How do you kind of deal with that mentality? Because we see all the times there are some guys who can take that criticism and they use it well, and there's some guys who it really just gets to them. How did you deal with the criticism in your playing days?
Being honest, dealing with criticism was always one of my biggest weaknesses.
Okay.
I always had a lot of problems with dealing with criticism. It was going straight into my head, and it affected my performance and my self-confidence in my game. So I always tried to talk to my coach about this weakness, and they got it. And then they always try to talk to me to things nice and don't try to yell at me too much, because that would influence my performance negatively.
Interesting. And I like the honesty about it. I mean, it's difficult to kind of take that. We see a lot of times there are guys in pro sports, every form of pro sports, that just can't take that criticism. And I think it's a important part. But let's backtrack to Vincent Kompany for a minute. And I thought it was interesting by Pellegrini to make the comment, because he doesn't really call out his players publicly, but I would say, is this kind of as close as you could get to calling out Vincent Kompany without directly saying it?
I mean, I'm always a believer that you shouldn't find any scapegoats on the game. There's not one player who's doing the mistakes. Either the team loses together or the team wins together. So I don't believe in finding one person who did the mistake. And Vincent Kompany has done a lot of good things for Manchester City.
Oh yeah.
He grew up to one of the best defenders in the world, I think. And I think as a coach, I would be on his side, and I would still play Vincent Kompany and don't drop him after 2 or 3 bad games.
I completely agree with you. I mean, I thought Vincent Kompany was injured for a large part of this season, and he did struggle transitioning back, but he's been such a defensive force. I think he's a good guy on the field. I don't think City's problems have been because of Vincent Kompany. Now, people will cite the goal he gave up against Barcelona in the Champions League and some other plays, but I think overall, City's just had a collectively weird season. They've had stretches where they've looked like they've had their form. Overall, the weird thing for them has been at home. They lost a game. They exited the FA Cup at home with a home loss. They've had really disappointing losses at home, and it's kind of the opposite of last year. Last year, they never lost at home. This season, it just seems they struggle scoring. So I don't know if I could put my finger on one thing, but I would say a lot of people are putting the blame on Manuel Pellegrini. His job has been scorching hot this year. From what you watch and what you kind of see, do you think the criticism to Pellegrini is warranted? Will City have a new manager next season?
I don't know that, but I definitely have to agree that Man City was defending also against Barcelona very poorly in the middle of the part, not only in the defense,
the midfield.
And in the midfield, the defense was very, very bad. And this is very important. And I'm a center midfielder. You have to try to help your back line already in the midfield. And if you don't defend well there, the back line, they can get overloaded, and then it's easier for the strikers to score a goal. And I think Manuel Pellegrini has to do a better job in making them more compact as a whole team.
Well, there's still a little bit of time, but moving on. I mean, City right now, they've got to hold on to that second spot. I don't know if they will. We will get to the teams that are kind of right on top of them in a minute, but let's kind of go into Chelsea for a minute. Chelsea, of course, the other day, winning the Capital One Cup over Tottenham Hotspur. It was a pretty good match, but Chelsea just in full control 2-0. And look, I think we all kind of understand right now, Chelsea, it's their title. They are the Premier League champions this year. My question to you is, I mean, it's kind of funny where we watched the Premier League from day one. It just kind of seemed to me like Chelsea just had their form. It just seemed like Jose Mourinho just came in again and just worked his magic, and they were the team all year. City had their struggles up and down since the beginning, but Chelsea, aside from really one hiccup against Tottenham early in the season around New Year's, they've been Jose Mourinho fantastic all parts of the year. So what do you think about their season right now?
About Chelsea's season,
Yeah.
Chelsea. Yeah, it's not surprising for me because everywhere Jose Mourinho is, there's success.
Yes.
Like, it's just funny for me because everywhere he's coaching, there's success. And I think his key strategy is always to have a very solid defense. And he always has, like, somehow quality, like, on top. And he's never conceding a lot of goals, and he's scoring always, like, 1 or 2 goals. A lot of results with Jose Mourinho are always 1-0, 2-0. 3-0, 1. He never gets a lot of goals conceded, and I think that's one of his biggest plus, and that's what other coaches would focus to be defensively more compact.
Do you think there's a better coach tactically in the world than Mourinho?
I mean, I think there's Pep Guardiola and Jose Mourinho, and they both have they have different philosophies. And Pep's philosophy is attacking orientated, and Jose Mourinho is more defensive orientated. And it's always a joy for me to see when these both teams play against each other, because in the past it was sometimes Mourinho's team won, sometimes Guardiola's team won. Yeah, and I love to see Mourinho's teams playing against Guardiola's teams.
I am with you. And final question, Jose. If you switch Chelsea's manager Jose Mourinho with Manchester City's Manuel Pellegrini, does Manchester City win the title this year if Jose Mourinho is the manager instead of Pellegrini?
I'm not sure about this year, but I can sign you a paper that they would win it next year. Definitely.
Next year, I
Because
can
you always need some time as a coach to find a team, to get to know each other,
develop
and
chemistry,
develop the philosophy and how they want to play and everything. And yeah, I would Jose Mourinho would make Manchester City a very good compact team, and of course they have quality on top. So
yes,
that should be the main focus.
That never hurts when you have the players to back it up. But very good talk right there. Let's move into the Premier League title. Right now, Chelsea is atop the table, 60 points. Manchester City behind with 55. And then after that, it is just a jam-packed fight between so many different clubs. Arsenal with 51, Manchester United in fourth with 50, Southampton with 49. Liverpool has really come back with 48. It seems like those 6 are really fighting it out. We really understand Chelsea and Man City are right there at 1 and 2. Chelsea above the rest. But right now, that third spot, there's so much competition. Arsenal, Manchester United, Southampton, Liverpool is really catching up. When it's all said and done, we did read this week Louis van Gaal. He said he expects it to go down to the final match day of the league that they'll be fighting for that third spot. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, who do you think will be third place in the English Premier League?
I think Manchester United. I mean, you probably don't like it when I say that, but I'm a huge...
No, I respect Manchester United. I like Angel Di Maria. I like Falcao. I like a lot of their players.
I'm a big fan of Louis van Gaal.
Okay.
Because he took over Bayern Munich, I think 5 years ago, and he brought out Thomas Müller, he brought out David Alaba, he brought up David Bartstuber, he brought up so many good players, and he's a fantastic coach in my opinion, and he's developing Manchester United to their old glory, I think, and I think they will be ending on the third place and even more dangerous next season. And that's a big thing for me, is that he always brings out a lot of young talents in soccer. I mean, you can see Manchester United with Falcao and all these big names they bought for a lot of money, but you also have to see their bench. There's so many youth players, they come from the reserves, which Falcao took to the first team, and he will bring out another good talent in the next 1 or 2 years, I'm pretty sure.
That's interesting because Van Gaal has gotten some criticism this year. Some people saying that he didn't live up to the potential of the talent on this roster. But, I mean, I think right now if you're Manchester United, you understand it's a dogfight. Third place, I agree with you. I think Arsenal hasn't been as consistent for me, so I'm with you. I think we will see Manchester United.
And I don't think that Southampton is going to stay on the
fifth. They've been the weird one where I don't think we really consider them in the same level as the Arsenal and Manchester United, but they always just stick around. But They are an interesting one, and the final story in this English Premier League themed segment so far is Mario Balotelli making the discussions. Now, I'll get to you and I'll ask you about him individually, but there is a story this week that he found Luis Suarez old shin pads and he plans to wear them for the rest of the season. Now, I don't know what you think when you initially hear that, but I mean, Luis Suarez, he was pretty darn good for Liverpool last year. Can this change things for Mario Balotelli, who to this point has been lost with Liverpool?
I mean, you have to start somehow, and maybe he believes in these things. And if he wants to start like this and he continues scoring like Luis Suarez, then of course that would be a good start. I think Mario Balotelli is just an unbelievable talent, but he just can't show it on the field.
Is he held back more than anything with his mental, or just his approach?
The thing is that he cares too much about other things. He cares too much about Instagrams. He cares about partying and girls, and it probably goes to his mind. I don't know. He has so much talent. He just can't show it on the field. And every coach said it. Like it doesn't matter if it was Mourinho or Mancini. Everyone said this is an unbelievable talent, but I just don't get it how he can never show it on the field.
And that's the amazing thing. I think we all agree. I mean, especially me. I mean, you can see him in the talent that he's always had. I mean, with Manchester City, with AC Milan, he's had supreme talent, but you just feel like you said, he doesn't have his priorities right. I mean, soccer is not always the most important thing in his life. There have been some people who thought that he needs to maybe go somewhere smaller to clear his head, figure things out. Maybe he needs to kind of be maybe punished a little bit in that sense and not play for a top contender and work his way back up and understand what his priority is. Would that be something you think could kind of straighten him out?
I don't think so. The problem is with these soccer players that they make so much money, and I think he made so much money he doesn't really care anymore if he plays good or if he scores goals or not.
As long as he keeps making the money?
Because he makes so much money, I just think he just does whatever he wants and he's enjoying his life.
That's interesting. Very interesting stuff here. Well, that is going to wrap it up for this segment. When we come back, talking a lot of the MLS, wearing the New York City FC inaugural season jersey. It's a very exciting time for Major League Soccer. Also getting into a little bit of La Liga. We'll give you updates on the matches going on right now. But this is segment 1 for Soccer Showdown. Jersey Joe Archino and Michael Holzer. Stay tuned.